differences. Whether you go from the manga to the anime, or from the source material altogether to the live action, there's always some kind of loss in translation or adjustments that needs to be done in order to create story. And we've seen how that's gone with other live actions in the past. It's been a few weeks, and I think we can all agree that this has blown everything out of the water and has really set a standard across the board, but not without differences. The next few videos, I'm going to go through the series and kind of go over some of the differences, both that I did like and also what I didn't like. Now, starting from the top, Roger's execution scene. And the biggest difference here is that the people that were present at the execution and the people that weren't. Now, the big dog in the room was Garp. Obviously, he wasn't there. We don't even see him for God knows how many episodes. They got Dragon, they got Mihawk, they got Shanks, but there's some other faces from the source material that they didn't show. Buggy was there and was an absolute mess. Doflamingo, Gecko Moria, a young smoker, but the big topic of controversy right now is Crocodile. Now, take out your tinfoil hats, because people have been saying that the woman that they showed is Crocodile, and that kind of goes hand in hand with the fan theory, if you know what I'm talking about. Go look it up if you haven't already. All that being said, the execution scene gets 4 straw hats out of 5. Now, the next big general thing to me that I actually really liked was the Marine screen time. We don't really get a in-depth look at anything Marine related unless they're kind of present in the story right then and there. It gives you favorites on both sides and also gives you the like bleh feeling on both sides. So it's playing a good game. We really get to see character development that we just kind of assume happens with time jumps, right? Because we just see, oh, hey, Kobe, haven't seen you in ages. Nice scar.
I believe you.
And that's kind of how it goes. But this style that they have set into it, I actually really enjoy a lot, and I think that they should maintain this. Now, a very large nani in the room was the Mr. 7 versus Zorro fight. You don't get a single sniff of anything Baroque Works until episode 64, volume 12. I looked it up. Zorro brings it up and he's reminiscing about his good old days as a pirate hunter. And we get a single reference image of Mr. 7, and that's it. But that being said, it does set the tone for Pirate Hunter Zorro, the demon, like all those things. And it lets him showcase his katana skills, which I think is a really big W. So I'm going to take it because I liked it. So Mr. 7 trying to recruit Zorro and epically failing. 3.5 straw hats out of 5. And now this brings us to Shellstown. And now this is where intros happen galore. More Zorro, we get Nami, Axehand Morgan, Helmeppo, all of the bunch, and it just kind of throws it at you. I think they nailed Helmeppo's abuse of power because of big old dad. And they did the scene with Zorro defending the little girl from Helmeppo's butt chin, I think, very tastefully. They did a little bit of a twist with the rice balls and the chocolate happening right then and there, and then him defending her and her honor, basically. And he just kind of kicks everyone's butt without having to draw a sword, which he didn't do in the anime, but I really like that because it shows like restraint and him just knowing that he's better than them, and that was kind of a really good tone setter. And I don't know if you noticed this, but because Luffy was there, that was technically the first time they laid eyes on each other, which doesn't happen in the source material. It's basically Luffy hopping the wall and he sees him and goes, I can help you. And then that's where the chocolate rice balls come in. But I think what they did was a very good twist, and I'm going to give that one also a 3.5 out of 5 straw hats. Now, we can't talk about Baby Butt Chin without talking about the Metal Jaw himself. And I don't know about you, but Morgan was like the first real baddie that they had to go up against. And in the source material, he was just like way more evil, I felt like. I felt like the live action, they had to pull him back a little bit. Not obsessed with the things he was obsessed with in the show, like rank and power and all those things. He was just kind of like, yeah, I'm in charge. But it is what it is, and Zorro and Luffy beat him together. I wish Zorro called Luffy captain, but we can't have everything. Morgan gets 2.5 straw hats. 2 more big things before we leave Shellstown and head over to the buggy space. First things first, Nami. Nami was in Shellstown for one reason and one reason only. Go get the Grand Line map from Morgan, not Buggy. Now, this was an interesting twist on how they had to kind of snake everything together and maybe introduce people at a faster rate. And I get that, and it's totally fine. I feel like they could have somehow left that in Orangetown with Buggy. Not everything's going to be perfect, and if I'm going to be nitpicky, this is going to be one of the things. Last but not least, Kobe joining the Marines. Basically, he gets blacklisted and tied all together with Luffy and the gang on the naughty list, if you will, a conspirator. In the source materials, Luffy basically saves him by stepping up and making him mad so that he hits him, they get into a scuffle, he beats him up, And the Marines that showed up are basically just like, he's obviously not friends with you. Away with you, demons. And it saves his butt. He's able to get recruited. And we're all good to go and everyone's happy. And I think that's really key because it shows Luffy's character and it sets a tone for him. And then they do it again later in Orange Town, which we'll get to. But in the live action, they basically have Garp and Helmeppo being the stand-ins for this. And Helmeppo tries to kind of bury him, and Garp gives him the prove yourself kind of way. I just think that they left out a piece of showing Luffy at his core. Where do we stand with Romance Dawn and Shellstown? 3.5 to 4 Straw Hats out of 5, I think. Now onwards to Orange Town. Now, besides introducing Nami and Luffy getting dropped out of the sky by a giant bird, the biggest stuff is that the town wasn't leveled when they showed up, and Buggy didn't chain up the whole village and force them to watch his psychotic clownness. This is a pretty interesting adaptation choice. Not only does it make the whole arc more manageable because they basically shove it into a circus tent only, it sets the crazy psycho killer clown from the salty seas, and it gives Buggy his own evil pirate clown vibe. And I think it was a pretty good choice. I do wish that they showed the buggy balls and the cannon and showing them leveling the town and Luffy in the cage, even though they did decide to do the cage with like the salt water trap drowning thing that they decided to do, which was an interesting, again, choice. But they did leave in the nose thing, and I think that the way they did that was pretty tasteful, and I thought it was kind of good. That little weeb moment for us. Now this walks us down the path of what happened to the side story of Choo Choo and Mayor Boodle. My question exactly. Remember how we mentioned Luffy's character and him saving Kobe? This solidifies that very soon after. Now, quick recap in the source material. They take the cage, they run away, they end up in front of a pet store. That's where they meet the dog, Choo Choo. And as he's defending the pet shop, Moji shows up with Richie the Dancing Lion, which they did reference both of them, but they were not there. But this is where, to me, Luffy's character got really solidified into what he stands for. He goes out of the way for a random dog to get a box of food back to give it to him in honor of what he was doing because he respected everything about him. Which then makes Mayor Boodle step up and argue with Buggy. And then that creates this whole, like, the effect that Luffy has on people, which we see in every arc. That's where it started for me. I don't know if it started for you that way. Tell me what you think, because that's where my feelings are on that. Now, last but not least, Kabaji versus Zorro. I thought it was weird that they didn't have Buggy's first mate Mochi in this more than Kabaji. It was, I think, more of a important piece for Zorro than anything else. And what they did in the live action was really interesting. Kabaji wants revenge for his older brother that Zorro killed in the live action, which is not mentioned as far as I remember. So they made it like a personal vendetta. And it wasn't a duel. He tied him to a spinny thing and threw knives at him to mess with him. And then he punches him once and walks out. Okay. But I do wonder if this is how they're going to approach a lot of the boss battles, if you will. Thoughts? Overall, I think I was the most disappointed the first 2 episodes with the Buggy arc, but I loved a lot of the things they did. The CGI was phenomenal. I think they did the chop fruit stuff really well. They really focused on Buggy, which I think is obviously important considering how much we do see him over the series. Yes, selfishly, I wanted to see more of the Buggy Pirates fight and the Orange Town arc and the defense of the pet shop and all that stuff, but that's just me being selfish and nitpicky. I'd give that whole thing 3.5, 4 Straw Hats out of 5, I think. Again, I'll give it 4. I enjoyed it. I was laughing the whole time. I loved it. Let me know what you think below, and let me know other differences that you saw over the first couple episodes that maybe you liked or you didn't like, especially those ones. I want to hear those a lot. Like, subscribe for all the baby goodness. See you guys in the next one.